Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our new edition of Mind-Body Connection. My name is Zoran Milicic, and I'm a kinesiologist. And in today's presentation, I'm going to talk about thyroid gland. This issue with thyroid gland seemed to be a flavor of the month, and it's been like that for quite a while. And in my career of almost 25 years now, I came across this issue with many clients. Thyroid gland seems to be exclusively women's problem. However, there's a small percentage of men that are suffering from it, but the percentage of this issue is more on women's side, which is very interesting. Nevertheless, in today's video, I'm going to show you the connection between our mind and these balances of thyroid gland, how that can affect our life, and how thyroid issues can project themselves into various other issues. So welcome to watch this video. I will offer some correction points for self-work and things for our contemplation, so that we combine everything together and integrate mind and body. Now, we need to acquaint ourselves with thyroid gland. So I prepared some PowerPoint presentations as per usual, so we get a better view of it. A lot of people are not aware that the mainstream science, or our collective mankind knowledge about this little gland is very scarce, and we basically know nothing about it. So if you have a look at the any book of anatomy and physiology, you'll find that there's very few pages devoted to this gland. It's very important gland because its function affects every single cell in our body. And what thyroid gland does, it actually, among other things, the primary job is to raise or elevate or lower a thermogenic function of our cells. So in other words, it wakes up the cells, it gives them signal to work more, burn more energy, or it actually shuts them down and gives them signal to work less. There's also another aspect of thyroid gland to do with a balance of calcium and phosphate levels in our blood and bones. So it actually has a couple of different functions, but the majority one that we are going to look at here is how thyroid gland works in hyper or hypofunction, and what we can do about it. Let's have a look at I'll share my screen here. Okay. So thyroid gland, as you can see here, it's a butterfly-shaped gland, and it sits in the area of your neck, approximately there. Now, on this picture, you're looking at the artist's impression of thyroid gland. However, nobody's thyroid gland is the same. So this is approximately how it looks. Doesn't mean that it has to look like this, but that's basically the shape of thyroid gland. Now, it's interesting also to know how thyroid gland is connected with the rest of the organs. And in today's video, we are going to concentrate on other things that may cause this balance as well. So let's have a look at the flow of energy in 5 elements. So as you can see here, in this red circle up here, which is the fire element, there's a meridian called triple Walmer meridian, and that meridian governs your thyroid gland, your parathyroid gland, and adrenal glands, and it's also responsible for maintaining the heat in our body in 3 areas of the body, mainly head, chest, and abdomen and pelvis. So it is really a physiological meridian, but as you can see, it has important place in this whole flow of energy. And today we're going to examine the other 3 main meridians, which are controlling and affecting the work of thyroid gland. So first, small intestine, which is here on its left. Small intestine is giving the energy to triple warmer meridian or thyroid gland. Then urinary bladder, which is controlling the function of small intestine and and thyroid gland, and also governing meridian, which really governs physiology of and functional cells on a gross level. In terms of what happens in our body, if you look at these balances of the thyroid gland, there are predominantly hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, which can produce identical symptoms. So it's really interesting to know that. Then there are other things which can be hidden underneath that, such as diabetes, osteoporosis, which is a problem with our bones when we're losing the calcium and other minerals, gall and kidney stones, because as we are losing the calcium from our bones, they are being deposited in gallbladder and kidney. Adrenal hypofunction, ovarian hypofunction, acidosis of the body. So this is a systemic problem because calcium is alkaline mineral, which body uses to alkalize itself. Liver dysfunction, because liver is controlling hormones and recycling them, and kidney dysfunction, and even pancreatitis. So there are other issues as well, but these are the most common ones. So in terms of biochemistry, we'll be looking at calcium in our urine, calcium in our blood, thyroxine, which is a hormone consisting of other 2, T3 and T4, which are divided into FT3 and FT4 hormones. They are actually free-flowing hormones, T3 and T4 in the bloodstream. TBG, which is thyroxine binding globulin, which is globulin or hormone which your liver produces to control and recycle T3 and T4, and also pregabalin. Now, pregabalin is mainly linked with your reproductive organs and function of sexual organs, but it is a precursor for many other hormones, including adrenal hormones. And we know that we are under stress. Adrenal glands are producing stress hormones, and when function of adrenal glands is elevated, then pregabalin, which should really serve sexual hormones and organs, is actually used by adrenal glands. And also some of the thyroid function is also linked with pregabalin. So when this hormone is exhausted due to stress, then our thyroid function diminishes, and also our sexual function. So that's basically the biochemistry of our body. But the main issue here is stress, and we are going to focus on our mind. So the mind basically has these projections, stubbornness. So we can be stubborn in supporting life or destroying life. It's the same energy, so we need to decide and be sure of that. Feeling insignificant, which makes us, which actually puts us in a position to constantly strive for more or prove ourselves, which of course is exhausting our energy. Fear of responsibility, which has guilt hidden in it. Overwhelming fear of rejection. So basically, again, another opportunity for us to overclock ourselves and go more than our 100% because we're trying to prove ourselves so that we prevent being rejected. Over eagerness, as I mentioned before, now feeling depleted. So once when we lose all our life energy in trying to prove ourselves or trying to prevent something or trying to control something, surely we're going to feel totally depleted or out of energy. Despondency, which follows the fall of energy levels. Discouragement, then nervousness in terms of being overreacted to stimulation, especially of the mental cause. Possessiveness expresses itself in our trying to control too hard. So we're trying to control all outcomes of our life, and that actually puts us in constant anxiety state. We are trying to control what is really uncontrollable, and that is life. Instead of accepting life and living the life in the present moment, we are constantly projected into the future, and especially with a negative outcome in mind. So we are constantly being irritated, and we are trying to prevent negativity or something bad of happening in the future, which doesn't really exist. So it never happened, it will probably never happen. And it's only imagination or fantasy of our mind, of course, based on some experiences from the past. And the last one, which is probably the biggest one, which I found in my career working with clients, apprehension about well-being of others and projection of those emotions to them. So basically, that happens often with children or with people who have family, with loved ones. They are constantly afraid that something wrong is going to happen with them. And what they're doing with that, they are telepathically overloading their system as well. So there's the energy of fear, which is constantly destroying the relationships because we are afraid that something bad is going to happen. And oftentimes the fear, as being the most destructive energy in human life, will eventually destroy all relationships and everything we are afraid of that we're going to lose it because we are afraid. So this is really, apprehension is like tingling fears all the time, some anxiety that something may go wrong, or for example, your child goes on some holiday or trip, and you constantly worry that something wrong may happen, or that the plane's going to fall down, or they're going to have a car crash or whatever, right? So there's just examples of that, and if that is fine, then we worry that somebody may fall sick and so on and so on. Okay, many reasons to be fearful. Okay, but the truth is all that is happening in the future as an imagination of our mind, because we always live in the present moment. So is the hint for the outcome and how to balance ourselves so that we relax the energies in the body. Now, what happens is if we are anxious and fearful about the future, that creates a lot of stress. Adrenal glands will work under pressure for quite some time. So when they become exhausted, then the thyroid gland will kick in and it will go into over energy mode, and it will start preparing ourselves and every cell in our body to basically be ready and respond to some sort of attack or bad situation, which is really not happening. So for the prolonged period of time, that will exhaust thyroid gland, and then we'll have a lot of problems with it. Once when thyroid gland is exhausted, then pituitary gland will start increasing TSH hormone, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, as a response of thyroid gland not really keeping up with its work, but the work is being given by our mind, and that is some bad situation in the future. So it's always good to connect with ourselves, with our breathing, and return and settle in the present moment, because everything's fine, always in the present moment. And then about the future, when we come to the future, we will again be in one of those present moments, which is the same like this one, where everything's fine. Okay, so keeping that in mind, these are the possible negative outcomes here, just a summary. Hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism. So while hypo is when the function is too low, hyper is when the function is too high. And then we have this a popular diagnosis, which a lot of people have. I've come across a lot of people with this one. It's Hashimoto's disease, or Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. That's basically when your thyroid gland is not functioning, and also the body is producing some antibodies against it. So your body is actually fighting against its own thyroid gland. I find this very interesting because the diagnosis is hypo, whereas I'm always finding in these cases that the thyroid gland is hyper, at least as far as chi energy is concerned and flow energy in the meridians. But there's a reason why this happens, is because when thyroid gland is having increased function, the only way for body to reduce the amount of hormones that it's producing is by reducing its size. Therefore, the body recruits its own immune system to actually start eating or destroying parts of thyroid gland to actually bring its size smaller. Therefore, with the smaller size, the thyroid gland will eventually produce less number, a smaller amount of hormones. But that's not really the solution to this issue, right? So the solution is to actually be in total harmony and balance, and try to understand ourselves, our life, and where the cause or root cause of the stress is. We can also have, as a result of all that, elevated TSH hormone, elevated thyroid-specific antibodies, as I mentioned, a hair loss, weight gain, weight loss, fatigue, loss of concentration, depression, nervousness, anxiety, and so on. Also, the temperature regulation may go wrong. For example, we may feel one moment too cold, the other one too hot, and so on. There are a number of issues here. And as I mentioned before, it's interesting that a specific symptoms for hyper and hypo can be identical. So it's really a tricky one to decide. But I found the tool for determining is it hypo and hyper by using kinesiology methods and muscle tests to find out the level of energy that is being supplied to thyroid gland. So if it's too low, then it's hypo. If it's too high, then it's hyper. It's very simple. Okay. So for the mind, trying too hard to control life and all outcomes, we suffer from anxiety and apprehension about loved ones, particularly children and parents and so on. And we project those things onto them, so that basically we prove ourselves that we care for them, but it's a wrong type of caring. We should be sending people love, not fear. And also it's a hidden guilt, because we are contemplating if we could have done something else or something more to prevent that bad thing from happening, so we are not guilty. And as I said, this is all in the mind, fantasy, thought projection, so it's not true. So this is the positive negative outcome. Now, once when we balance ourselves, when we balance our energies, when we connect with our source, which is really universe, where this is where we come from, we're going to make a huge relief to our body. We'll give it a huge favor, and body will relax, and it will quickly align itself. So once when we realize the velocity of fear, which is really imagination of the future, nothing more than that, we will come back to our natural state. And particularly what is linked to thyroid gland is our self-confidence rather than lack of self-confidence, self-reliance, so we can support ourselves, we can rely on ourselves, we can be an example for others as a stable, strong, great citizens of this world. So that is the self-reliance. So we grow as human beings in self-confidence and self-reliance. We show our natural inner strength, and also we show commitment, because when we are anxious, we always flip-flopping between two decisions, or shall I or shan't I, or things like that. You know, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. You know, there's a lot of things. But the commitment is basically when we determine our path and we stay on our path no matter what. So we show strength, self-reliance, self-confidence. Look, you know, if you are in this that type of energy, the whole universe will be behind you. There'll be a huge mountain behind you pushing you forward. Now we replace expectations with hope, and particularly hope for the better, for the betterment, rather than for the worse. We increase our faith, and basically we cancel the fear by increasing the faith, and it is the faith of our human beingness, our source, where we come from. We start to focus on what is really important, so that we live life with a purpose, rather than being overwhelmed by the details of living, trying to control things, and anxieties about other people and their well-being. So, you know, all that energy is brought back to us, and we have full focus on what we really want in this life. And the last one, we connect with others from the position of love rather than fear. So every time, and this is just advice, every time you think about your family members, your children, your parents, people you care for, even if you think about our society, the world we're living in at the moment, it is a world full of fear and anxiety, and it's been carefully fed to us. So it's really up to us to take that, I say, you know, hot potato, or leave it to somebody else. So think about that, connect with others, with your society, with your social circuit, with human mankind. You know, on a gross scale, think, connect with all of that from the position of love. So project love, give love, live love, and be love. That's basically being one with who we are, with our consciousness. So they will certainly change the energy and constant meditation process and agony in our head, being tormented with thoughts that something wrong may happen, and also us trying to control everything, whereas we don't really control anything. Or, you know, we may control a little bit, but, you know, I always say, think about this, when you put the food in your mouth, you chew it and you swallow it, that, let's say, is by volition, so we do that willingly. But from that point on, we have no idea what happens with that food, how body takes it, dissolves it, breaks it down, takes nutrients, million things, right? So imagine if we were trying to consciously control only that little alone, things that happened outside of us. So this is basically how we work with the faith. We hope and we have full faith in the harmony of the universe, because universe is always neutral and it's always in harmony. So let's be that. Okay, so now let's think about how we going to shift the energy, because obviously if we're having problems with thyroid gland, we already have history of these mental states and projections, whether they are conscious or subconscious, it doesn't matter. The body reacts always the same. And here there are some fantastic points which will elevate chi energy in these meridians, and it will shift a lot of energy, and a prolonged stimulation of these points may bring your thyroid gland back in balance, and you may feel improvement in that regard. So starting from the front of your body here, at the front in intercostals 3 and 4, between ribs 3 and 4, from about 1 to 3 inches from left and right, from the middle point, from sternum. You massage these points. Okay, so there are lymphatic points for massaging, so you can massage that for a couple of minutes. Then you move to this whole band or area underneath your rib cage at the front. So you massage that with 4 fingers, like so. And also at the top of your pubic bone, starting from pubis symphysis, which is the middle point here, going to the left and right toward hip area or in the groin, really, you massage these points. So there are neurolymphatic points, and those points are specific for those meridians that are controlling thyroid gland and thyroid gland itself. So we're going to create some shift or movement of the energy around thyroid gland on the path of meridian flow, and also within the meridian of thyroid itself. On the back, you have points here, which is basically T2 and T3 vertebra. So this is your spine. So somewhere approximately there, you can basically feel them with both hands. You go 2 vertebrae underneath your prominent point at the back here, which is C7. That's where the neck joins the trunk, and you massage that. Don't go through the pain, so just be at pain level. You massage that for a couple of minutes. Then you can massage this whole area here. I usually use this part of my fist, these knuckles here. So I basically put them back there as far as up I can go, and all the way down. So I massage that. And also at L5 point here, which is basically where a lot of people will experience low back pain. So these points, you'll find the hip points here, left and right, they're prominent knobs. You find them there and go towards the spine. It's in that space right in between. So that's where you massage. Okay, so all these points you can massage for about 2 minutes. So this will be altogether 6-minute job. And you can do this once a day when you wake up. It's always good to get the lymph flowing. And also you can repeat it a number of times per day as per need. Okay, so if you find that points are painful, don't go through the pain, don't hurt yourself, just gently massage at the level of that pain. It's very important after all these energy correction points to drink a glass of water and do a couple of breathings in and out slowly to reset the brain. Now I'm going to introduce here two acupuncture points. They may not be linked directly to thyroid gland, but they are linked inadvertently because they control your throat chakra. And throat chakra is the energy center that is basically sitting approximately there in your neck area. And throat chakra controls this whole area of the neck, the sides, front, and the back. The aspect of this chakra is really about communication, things that we want to say, but we didn't say, things we should have said, or things we shouldn't have said, and so on. But most importantly, speaking our own truth, rather than being afraid to speak up our own truth. So this is about throat chakra, which also can influence a lot of thyroid problems, because if there are things that we should have said or wanted to say, but we compress them, especially concerning our own truth, that energy will be compressed in thyroid gland, and thyroid gland can become problematic if we have a repeated pattern of compressing things into us. And also another thing is hearing, because that's also another aspect of communication, whether we listen to ourselves and others, and what do we do with this information. So that's the thing. There are things to consider. So this point here, spleen number 4, will balance the yin aspect of your throat chakra. So it's right there, right at the top of the arch of your foot. So you massage this for about 2 minutes. It can be very painful, but be careful, don't hurt yourself. And another one is this one here. It's called stomach 36. So it sits on the stomach meridian. You will find it if you, like in this example, you put 4 fingers underneath your knee at the front. So, and it is on the lateral or outside of the midline. So this point is also can be very painful. Be careful. There are very powerful points, and they will shift a lot of energy, and that will balance your throat chakra. So you will notice that your communication towards the world, and also things concerning listening to your own truth and yourself, will be much better. So this is all enough for you to greatly improve your energy level, and to shift a lot of energy from negativity to positivity, and to understand that everything that happens in our body is really projection of our mind. And I always say that our body is basically a consequence of ourselves. So, so just to mention one other important thing concerning our thyroid gland. Our thyroid gland is very sensitive on a couple of things. One of them is toxins, which can appear in our nature, around us, outside of us, and also toxins which our body produces as a result of metabolic processes, normal, in our body. So be sure that you drink pure water, that your food is non-GMO food, that your food is as much as you can of organic source, and also that your food doesn't contain any violence in it. So that make sure you stick to plant-based diet as much as you can, and they will definitely balance a lot of processes in the body. Now, another thing which thyroid gland doesn't really like, particularly if you are O or 0 blood type, but also that also applies for all other people, is basically wheat and gluten, right? So avoid wheat and gluten if you want to have healthy thyroid gland, or if you're suffering from thyroid gland. It's a good idea to consider that, to avoid wheat and gluten and sugar in your diet. The last thing, which a lot of people are becoming aware, but it is a problem. There are electromagnetic frequencies or electromagnetic pollution that is basically something that we're living increasingly in this world. So at least what you can do, ensure that your time with the mobile phones and devices emitting radio frequencies is brought to a bare minimum. Particularly when you are sleeping, make sure that your mobile phone is offline and it's placed in another room, or switch it off. A lot of people are sleeping next to the mobile phone and they are on the phone all the time, and that has really detrimental effect on thyroid gland and also for the rest of the body. So keep that in mind. It is very important to look at this issue from many sides, and once we balance it all, particularly with the points I showed you, things should improve in your life. So this is it for today's Mind-Body Connection series. My name is Zoran Milicic and I'm kinesiologist. Every week I'll be bringing to you one health issue, and I'll be offering self-correction methods that you can do yourself. However, if you want some deeper work, you can always call us and book in for a session, and it will give us opportunity to look everything on a much deeper level, because sometimes things that are appearing on the surface may not be the priority. There are other things which are influencing that. So kinesiology in that regard always works on the level of cause, and it is very amazing and interesting what can be discovered in that process. Also, you can leave your comments with your questions. I'm more than happy to answer to all your queries. And if you have suggestions on the content of this Mind-Body Connection series, you can always write to us and suggest different topic or questions, so we can maybe devote one of the programs for that. So I'll leave you with that. I wish you great health, and particularly great health of your thyroid glands, that you live in present moment, and that you always one with your source. Therefore, all fears will be gone. So increase your faith and hope, and let the universe handle the details of our lives. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.